Hi, and a very good evening to everyone. This is Mareesha, the CEO at the Wedding School, coming to you live from the Wedding School page. A big shout out to all our ex-students and the current batch that's filling up, and we're so excited with the amazing response we are getting. We're absolutely humbled, and we also realize the pressure. Okay, I'm here, and like last week I had mentioned that I'll be in a good location, and I can't imagine that I've actually logged in on time after a couple of weeks of a delay for whatever reasons. I'm here at 6 p.m. sharp India time, and I'm here in this wonderful city, Leeds, where in fact my sister, who's also from the event space and now has moved on to becoming a professional trainer and a consultant. She stays in this wonderful city called Leeds, and I think this city has I've literally seen it grow and develop into becoming a very busy space, so to say. But yeah, taking time out and really happy to be here. And sorry because I'm not in my usual enthusiastic self, because यहाँ पर लोग इतना समझेंगे नहीं. They might get me reported कि इतना क्यों कोई excited है to be on the screen. So I'm gonna keep it mellow and subtle the way the Brits like it. But yeah, I was talking about the fact that this entire phase and this journey of being able to counsel the next set of planners, the aspiring guys, is always so exciting. And today I just want to spend a few minutes to talk about how our courses are helping students get into spaces that are not directly about just working with the wedding planning company or a design decor team. It's about, I think, a lot of extensions. And I have to say, you guys are damn lucky. Everyone who's getting into the space of making their career in today's time. I think this has been an exceptional start to a year. And I think post-COVID, there have just been so many varied opportunities that have come our way, because a lot of work has actually seen like a breakage of sorts. It's no more supreme enterprise who does it all. It is about further bifurcation. It is about micro specialization that I see as a trend, not just in spaces connected to events at large, but specifically for weddings. Pooja, hi, good to see you. I'm happy to be back, always happy to be here. Chandrika is also here. You're looking so pretty, the place suits you. I know, yeah, Chandrika, it's good, clean air. Lot of work, but it doesn't really show on the face. The stress is just not there. You end up looking good because the place itself is always so pretty. तो सामने वाला भी अच्छा ही लगता है always. Sharon is here. Hi, Sharon. I think great going, Sharon. I think lots of people are going to keep blessing you for the wonderful job that you're doing of mentoring so many people, whether or not they eventually join the course. And I totally love the efforts that you put in straight from your heart to make that difference and manage your family with that. For me, that's like a big win. And I tell you, with regards to even these different kind of career options and micro specialization that we can do, that's a huge advantage, especially for women who are mothers or wives and have added responsibility of also managing their parents. I think being able to specialize and thus be able to focus on one kind of work is a great opportunity if one looks at it from the perspective of somebody who is going to get hired. That definitely has its own bit of disadvantages for organizations. But as an individual, I think it plays in your favor, because you're then able to create a niche for yourself. You are able to break down and make somebody realize that, hey, out of the entire game, this aspect needs more attention. And a wedding planner today has such a high pressure job that as the days and months and years are going by, I'm realizing that it's going to get more and more strenuous, because servicing the client today takes away the major part of the time of a wedding planner. Now, in that kind of a situation, you need the right people with right temperament to pick up that job, because it is not a personal event anymore. So there is a lot of pressure, there's a lot of accountability, answering free advice to be given to a bride who eventually might start her own company, and she's not interested in learning things from you for her wedding, but eventual end game is that she aspires to become a planner herself. You see this as a big trend. And that also means that by default, a planner is going to get less and less time to ideate on newer things, to be able to get in touch with the right kind of vendors, because again, so many extremely high profile families are seeing that their kids are getting into the space of designing, gifting, because these are those young budding women who don't want to be a housewife but don't want to join the family business. They want to do something which is far more independent, more glam, and something which is within their scope, their radar, their network. And that then leads them to start out smaller enterprises, into gifting, into jewelry, into becoming a stylist. And these kind of extremely well-off people require a team, because there's somebody who's got to handle their Insta account, there's somebody who's going to update things to them on a daily basis, manage them in a way. And of course the third part, which is servicing the client and the new queries. Thus there's a great opportunity for youngsters who need not always want to work with a planner, but end up working with these micro specialists. So there's a lot of subdivision that's taking place. And I think that is a very interesting space for us to explore, because it has not yet been identified. It's slightly in the gray zone. I'm talking about something that will become far more obvious and clear to most of us, say by next year, or year and a half from now. But because we run the school, we are very fortunate to be able to understand the demand side, where talent is being sought, and also the supply side, the kind of talent which is available. You have more and more digitally savvy, well-equipped young boys and girls wanting to explore the space of weddings. And for me, that becomes interesting, because it's not an event oriented person who wants to do weddings. It's a person who has educated themselves in a very different space and understands life with the screen, right, the phone, and is then put to task to look at something from that perspective. And for me, that's very important, because at the end, even a planner today gets their next job based on what they are showing on that screen. So for me, this becomes very exciting talent to hire in my organization, and I think eventually that's going to become a great opportunity. So we all need to start opening ourselves and stop being one-dimensional when it comes to looking out for a job. There are so many students that I see when I keep guiding them, and we keep trying to tell them, you may set out with only two options, career options. Here is an institute that can actually guide you and tell you how you can actually try and explore 10 parallel allied career options, which are all connected to weddings, but do not only require you to do client servicing job and ops. So for me, this is like the new exciting time, where it's going to be a bit of a struggle for those who want to do this unique stuff. But the day you will be able to ace that game and create that unique identity for yourself, truly you will be the person in demand, and you can in a lot of ways try to be your own boss eventually. Nothing that I speak is something that can be achieved in 12 months time, so that's a disclaimer you have to keep in mind. For me, anywhere from 3 to 5 years is the least one requires, even today, in spite of the great exposure and the availability of information equal and at par to someone like you and someone like me. It still requires you to get your hands dirty, go into that drill, face failure, face moments when there's a lot of rejection. The clients may not like your ideas, your boss may not like your idea or your style of working. So it's always important to go through those hardships and then get onto a journey that you want to call yours, because you can't imagine the kind of exposure and experience one can gain by even working with, say, the smallest of enterprises, with the leanest of teams. There is still plenty of learning that one can experience. I also feel that these varied wedding opportunities that I'm talking about, which are definitely largely driven in the space of styling, gifting, digital, I also believe that this becomes a great opportunity, of course, for the young mothers and young wives who do not want to say a goodbye to their career, but also to somebody who is just getting to get started. Because you will see that there is a crazy rush of youngsters who are all aspiring that I want to start my own, I want to start my own. Can you imagine what the world would be like if every second person you meet will be an entrepreneur, right? What happens then to the thinkers? Because if you're an entrepreneur, there is a lot of business and financial responsibility, management responsibility that comes your way. So I will always encourage somebody who is a great thinker to actually stay away and miles away from that dream, because your true potential will never come out if you're your own boss. Your true potential will only come out if there is somebody else taking care of 20 other things and you are just focusing on the enhancement, on the new thought, on the new next, and thus it's a big warning, because a lot of us kind of get a little distracted knowing that, oh, I'm independent, oh, I can think so well, oh, I think that's enough for me to get my next client. Sure, but sustaining that and actually making that the purpose of your professional life, that is where the challenge comes in. And you'll see a lot of them, I think a little slightly, I would say, aimless over a period of time, because too soon is never a good idea. Yeah, so that's another very important point for us to know. What kind of a personality are we? Are we the ones who are very good with our managerial ability, with multitasking? These are the kind of traits that one requires to run their own enterprise, besides the experience and being able to do sales and business development. But somebody who's only creatively inclined should look at better prospects of working with multiple people and enterprises to be able to juice out their best and give in their best and be able to do something that's a path less walked on, but a path that also leads to a much longer journey. So and I'm a person who believes that every day should be there should be at least one new learning, and I'm always constantly looking out for that kind of work. You can do that only if you have that one side orientation and you don't have to worry about multiple things. So these are very important aspects that youngsters need to keep in mind when they're claiming and talking about, hey, I want to start my own, I want to start my own. One needs to understand, am I cut out to do that? Or am I just doing it because my friend did really well when he or she started on their own? So go for it, but be careful is how I would love to put it. Another interesting space, I would say, for somebody to explore also becomes the space where you are dealing into redefining what a wedding venue can look like. I think we're just about 1 or max 2 seasons away from a time when the bride is going to be exhausted with the pastels and the florals and her ask for majestic Rajasthani wedding. I think there will be a saturation point coming in very soon. How many of us who are already in the space are ready for that? Do we have the alternate solution to offer to our clients? So who will do that, right? like in the space of fashion, something I really admire is that they are working in 2023 as to what should be in trend and what is the fashion statement that's going to be out and what are the colors that will be out in 2025. They are not working on 23 or 24, they're working on 2025. I think looking at the growth of our industry, the awareness and the high demand that we have for wedding professionals, be it a design decor person or a planner, this aspect is something that most people are ignoring and is something that one can genuinely look forward to. What next is not about this season. What next should be about 12 months, 24 months from now. And I think one big signal that makes me realize this will come true is the fact that the clientele base has moved from not just admiring movies but also admiring everything that's visually strong, which includes your OTT platforms and content that they consume on social media. And thus this becomes very, very important for us to not just look at this season but understand what are the propositions we could make for 12 months, 24 months from now and work towards it. Now, for me, this is where the next gen that's just stepped into the industry or is looking at stepping in, they come in. Because you guys have a clear slate. It's a fresh perspective. You don't have a baggage like several of others who have worked around for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. You tend to block your mind. Whereas somebody who is just starting now has a clean slate, doesn't know the rights and wrongs, doesn't understand the expectation much, but is buzzing with ideas because there is something more that is unknown to me, is probably seen by you. So that becomes a very offbeat but a very interesting path to actually walk on, and that for me is a great opportunity in the space of weddings. When I say sky is the limit, that's what I'm referring to. Be able to see what you want to suggest for the future and not just look at becoming one of the many in the present. So try and give these thoughts, keep them in mind, give it a serious thought and go back to what I call the drawing board, pen down some thoughts on what you see yourself doing. How is it that you can look beyond the regular candidate? And how is it that you will make your presence in such an uber busy space of weddings that has actually now captured the entire country? It's no more a requirement of 10 to 12 cities. It's what the country is asking for. So that's for me an interesting perspective for you to think about. And for me, a final one would also be something that is further in the long run, but will eventually sometime play its role, especially when you have the Prime Minister of a country talking about it. And when you had Mr. Modi mention about wedding tourism and weddings being a great area where we as a country could focus, I think the states will take note of it, just like organizations have. There is a lot of work and process that we get into it, something that somebody who's just starting off in their career may not exactly understand. But if you're somebody who comes from the travel background, MICE background, understands tourism, and is equally, excited about weddings and social celebrations, this is something, a combination of which can really do wonders, which is in the long run. It's a process, it's a system that needs to be set up. There are already some top companies from wedding background who are constantly working on it. Many have failed, but they have decided to stand up again and work towards it because they aspire to bring in a revolution, a new trend in the true sense. So a lot of you will be caught in that right time, right space in connection to that. Say, in probably a year's time from now, you can already see a lot of states who have started understanding the importance of wedding tourism and are consciously working towards it. Newer hotels coming up, and all the international chains setting up anywhere from 5 to 125 hotels as a plan for 2023-24 itself. That itself is a great signal that whenever there is that kind of a boom that comes into one sector, it automatically is going to have a ripple effect on several others, right from flights increasing to logistics companies coming up over there, to more planners required, to more decor and design space experts required, to newer talent that will be hired. So there is that bit of growth. So look out for making yourself a little more updated with regards to travel and understanding the tourism angle, and understanding what is it that we can offer our clients besides the 3 days at a hotel for a destination wedding. And that will become a very interesting USP that you can create for yourself. So a lot of these will be easily understood by somebody who spent a couple of years in the industry, and a lot of you who are now stepping into the wedding school, thoda sa upar se jayega, but please understand that there is a lot of intensity and a great deal of opportunity that can come your way. But your first stepping stone has to be open a door to educate yourself and meet more people like me who are experts in the field that's all connected to weddings, but different aspects. And that is going to become the greatest stepping stone for you before you decide in which direction you want to take your life. So yeah, I think I'm going to leave you with those thoughts, and here's hoping that it actually made sense. Because I think that whatever I have just said is something that I truly believe in, and I can see that as something that's going to be able to change and shape a lot of futures, giving several opportunities, and like they say, sky's the limit. So I'm going to sign off for now, and I'm looking forward to meeting you guys next Thursday from another destination, another location, because my little break is not coming to an end soon. So I'm going to sign off for now. Have a good weekend ahead and a good Friday too, while I try to enjoy my little break over here in UK. I have Sid writing in, wanted to know if we could create a separate brand for weddings if we already have an event planning company. Yes, you can do that, Sid. We have a couple of such examples of companies who did not want to mix both identities, so they've created a separate entity only for weddings. Both of these aspects, and some who've continued with the brand name, both have their own pluses and minuses. Today it makes sense to have a separate name for your wedding division, simply because you will still see a lot of companies that can relate better to you just because of your branding and the brand name. Eventually they understand you could have multiple businesses, but if you have a very corporate name for your organization, it sometimes doesn't work in your favor for the first instant connect. So in the first earlier phase of your career into the space of weddings, it can become challenging if you retain a corporate branding or corporate brand, logo, identity, etc. So yeah, that's how I would look at it. Where am I? I am in UK, in a wonderful city called Leeds. Use normal. Adios. I've tried to wave out to as many people as I could, and I am going to see you guys soon. For any more queries about our courses, we start on 22nd of July, which are weekend online courses. Like me, you can take this class from anywhere, in no matter which part of the country or the world you are in, and you can DM us and we'll be happy to share more details on this. What is the important thing in wedding events? There is lots. There's not just one aspect, and that's what really I was chatting about. Everything for me is important, and primary for me is a differentiating factor. The more uniqueness you can create in your personality and in what you bring on board, the higher the chances of you leaving that everlasting impression in the mind of a client today. So yeah, that would be my bit. Alrighty, going to chat with you guys next week. Thank you. Bye bye.